creates an array. So let's put that array into a constant. So const A, let's say, is this. So now what this means is that this A, the name, is assigned to this, or I should say this array is assigned to the name A. So everywhere I use A, I'm referring to the array, right? Basic stuff. To put things...
Can we like make an array not constant, but variable?
Later we will. So now here, let's add some values, like a 6, a 9, and a 10. Now here's something interesting. In JavaScript, what is constant is A. A refers to this array, therefore you can never change what A is. But you can still change the array itself. How do you change the array itself? How do you change this information? Well, we know that if we do A0, that will give us 6, right? But watch this. What do you suppose that does? Other than the people who know. Yeah, exactly. It changes the 0 index to have a value of 10. So now, if I were to console.log A of 0, I will get not 6, but 10. If I did console.log above this, so here, it will give 6, right? Because at this level, it's 6, but then we change it to 10, therefore now it's already 10, right? Okay, now one thing that you may be asking yourselves is what happens if we, let me get rid of the consoles, what happens if we do something like this? What is the length of this array now at this level? What do you think? You think it's 1? Okay.
No, it's 100.
No, it's
101. So one way to think about the length of the array is it's the last index plus 1. Look, at this level, what is the length of the array right now? At this level here? 3. In other words, 0, 1, 2, plus 1, 3. Right? Last index plus 1. So if I assign 10 to the 100th index, the length is the last index plus 1, so 101 characters. What are all those other characters between 3 and 99? Empty, right? They're empty. We haven't defined them. So empty in JavaScript means undefined. So if I were to console.log A, here's what I get. A bunch of empty spaces, and then at the end we get the 10. Right? So there are a whole 100 spaces here. 100 indexes. Right? So, yeah, 0 through 99, exactly. Okay? With me? Okay, so question then. Suppose I have this array now, and what I want to do is I want to add a value to the end of it. Not replace 10, but I want to like push a value on top. I want to get a value at the end. So I want to end up with 4 values. How can I add a value to the end, just based on what we've learned here?
Length minus 1.
A each?
Length minus 1.
A dot length minus 1? Okay.
And
What will A dot length, what index is this? What is the length right now?
It's 3.
What is minus 1? 2. So if I were to do something here, where will 99 go?
Instead of 10.
Index of 2. So it will replace this. Right? Look. Check. Ablas. Okay, so this will result in this. If I get rid of the minus 1, boom, now it gets added at the end. Right? Cool. If I want to add another value at the end, what do I do now? Again, A dot length is now equal to, I don't know, 100, let's say. There you go. Make sense?
No, why, I have a question. Why doesn't it change the third, not out? Okay.
We answered your question. Cool, I love it when people do that. Other questions? Is this confusing to anybody? Yes, sir. I will repeat it. All right, look. We have an array. We know that we can access any value within an array by its index, yes? So if we do A of 1, that means go into this array, the array with this name, go to this index, that is to say 0 index, 1 index, so this is the index, and get the value. So this will print 9. Is that clear to everyone? Okay. What we can also do is say now, take whatever's here, and instead let's assign it a different value, like 99. So what I'm doing is I'm changing the value at index 1 from 9 to 99. Is that clear? Okay, now, if I were to do this, a dot length minus 2, what would happen? Sorry, you obviously already know, but what would happen? What did I just do? What is a dot length? 3 minus 2? 1. So I've changed whatever is at index 1 to 99. This is the index 1. I've changed it to 99, right? If I do this, what would I change? The third one, right? So this would result in 2. 2 index is this one. So 10 would become 99. Yes? Okay. Now, what happens if I do that?
You just add the 4.
Add another element.
It would be at index 3. Is there an index 3 here? No, but I'll create it now. So what that means is that this 0 will stay at 6, 1 will stay at 9, 2 will stay at 10, and 3 will become 99. Which is why when we print the entire array, you can see that this is what we've created. Did that answer your question? Yeah, cool. Other questions or concerns? Yes?
If we can change both the values of the array and still have arrays of values.
Good question. So const in JavaScript world means this relationship here. So think of it, in other words, I can't now change, I can't say A is now 7. I can't do that. But I can change the contents within. Think of it this way. Your parents named you when you were a child, right? They gave you a name, a beautiful name. This is your name. You, as a person, changed, right? You grew, your hair grew, blah, blah, blah. But your name always stayed the same. People always refer to you with the same. Think of it exactly this way. A will always refer to this array, but the array itself can change. Okay? I answered your question? Okay. Was there another question? Yes, sir.
Instead of a dot length, if we put 3, will it work again?
If we do, yeah, of course, absolutely. We can do look, a dot length, this is the same thing as 3. Sorry, wait 1 second. This. So yes, absolutely, you can do this and console.log. Wait. Boom. Yeah? Cool. Other questions or concerns? Yes.
What if you want to add a number in front of the row?
Good question. So for that, what you would have to do is you would have to do one of two things. You can either shift all the values over. In other words, you would have to first take this. So you would have to do something like this. Look. Suppose I want to put a 1 in the front, up here, right? What that means is that first I have to move 10. So A of 2 is now going to become A of 3. Right? Then A of 1 is going to become A of 2. No, A of 2 will become A of 1. And then A of 1 will become A of 0. And then A of 0 is now equal to 1. Right, so now I can do console.log. Okay. Did I answer your... No. Is it clear what I did here? Okay, because one of the things, we're going to learn cycles later, where you can like loop over things a bit later. And when we do that, one of the things that I will ask you to do is write some code that will reverse the string. And now, based on this information, I think you have an idea of how you would do that, right? You would simply assign the last to the first to the last, then move 1 in. That one, swap the next 2, move 1 in, and keep doing this, keep swapping them until you end up with the opposite. Right? That's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is just create another list and just add to the beginning, starting from the end. Right? Don't worry, this is an assignment that will come much later, but it's worth mentioning. Okay, so this idea of a list that has an idea of its length, that has indexes, that has values, and we can either get values by index or modify the values within an index. Are there questions just relating to that part? Just that part? No? Okay, go.
So I was wondering, what is the need like of this function, like in general when you're programming? So like I can just add one in the constant A and that array. So why would I use that path to do it? Does it make sense?
Why would you use that path? You mean, why would you, the last thing I did? Are you referring to this?
Yeah.
Ah, if you wanted to add something to the beginning of the array.
Yeah, I could just like add one at the beginning and that's all. Why would I use this longer path? What is the technique?
Okay, look, I understand what your question. Okay. Okay, I know. Okay. Okay. The list begins here and moves in this direction, right? We have a chair, we have a chair. We need to add a table to the beginning, right? I'm sorry, where? Oh, what's, yes. We need to add that table to the beginning. Where do I add it? You said we could just add it to the front, right? There's a wall here. I can't. In order for me to put it here, I first have to move this here, then move this here, and now I can put it there. Yes? Same idea here. You can't just put something here. I mean, you mean like this? Is that what you meant? Okay, yeah, you can just, that's the same thing as just me making a list with that at the beginning, no problem. But the idea is once the list is created, if I already have a list like this, and later I come and I say, I want to put that chair here now. To do that, I have to make space, yes? That's where the shifting comes into play. So what I would have to do is, if this is 0 index and this is 1 index, right? I would have to take this chair, which is at 1 index, put it into the 2. Take the 0, put it into the 1, and then take that and put it into the 0. Cool? No problem. Bahsed, was that clear? Yes? Yes?
So if you write your list, later you want to change something, you can?
You can. What do you mean you can't? If you want to add something to the end, it's easy. If you want to add something to the front, you have to do the shifting. You can still do it. It's not easy, but you can do it. There are functions, which we'll talk about later, that will help you do this faster, so you don't have to one by the, but later, yes?
Can we write a dot length minus the whole length of an array?
Of course.
To add something to the front.
To the end.
To the front, I mean.
What is the length of this?
No, I mean, the length of this is 3, yes? So
Yes.
if we write minus 4, can we add something to
No, you
it?
can't add negatives. No. You have a wall. Wall is 0. Sorry, the first position is always 0. Yeah? Yeah, you can't go into negatives. Good question, though. Interesting. Yes?
What if we don't add anything to the empty space that we created?
Say that one more time.
So what if we don't add anything to the empty space that we created, like the index 0?
Yeah. Oh, what happens if it's like this?
Yeah.
What do you think? It's
Full
empty.
month.
What's here? This is chair.
Undefined.
This is nothing, and this is chair. That's fine. So, but in JavaScript, empty is undefined, exactly. So you have chair, undefined chair. Yeah? Great. Yes, sir.
If we write A1 equals 1, for example, what happens with the former A11? Is it replaced?
Disappears. Come on.
But it's still in the first line of the array. I mean, when we write this way, we still have the const A equals 6, 9, and 10.
Until you change the contents
So
of
you
A.
change, but
Yeah,
it's still,
save all that.
you still have it in the code.
Right. I think what you're trying to say is if you do A of 1 and then you change that to 99, whatever, 999, right? At this level here, before you make this change, A still has 9 as its value. So anything you do here it's still going to have the 9. Then you make the change, and at this point, it's been modified in memory. Okay? Literally, it went into the memory and changed that value. And so now, it's no longer 9, it's now 99. Okay? Clear? Other questions or concerns? Okay, so what can we do with an array at this point? We can create the array. We can access any value within the array. That is to say, we can read it, right, by doing these brackets and then a number. And we can change any value within the array, and we know the length of the array. You never change the length yourself. The length gets changed automatically when you add or remove things from the array. Okay? So don't ever do like a.length equals 5. I think it either gets ignored or there's an error. I don't know, but just don't do it. It makes no sense. You modify the array, the length automatically updates. Questions? We got this? Okay. Well, if we understand this, then this should also be easy. Imagine, so let me write it like this, just to make it easier. This is exactly the same. I'm just adding more lines. And now, instead of putting a 6, I'm going to put another array. Instead of putting a 9, I'll put another array. I'll keep 10 as 10, because why not? This array has something like Joe, a 9, and a true. What kind of value is this?
String.
What kind of value is this? What kind of value is this? You guys are awesome. Okay, so let's do 99, and and why not? Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So, we have this beautiful array. What happens if I do A index 1? What will I get back? The second array. This entire thing, right? Okay, so what I can do is put that const B. So now B has this entire array inside of it, yes? So now if I do console.log B of 2, what will I get? 0, 1, 2. Therefore, 919. Boom. Very nice. Now, what I could do though is instead of first assigning this to B and then taking it, I can just do this. And now B, what does B have inside? What does this part return? This array. Then what does this do?
10.
This then takes...
10.
900.
Okay, look. This will replace this. Right? Now, if you have this array and you take index of 2, what do you get?
909.
Exactly. Do you guys see how this, hang on, let me go back to our original, B of, what did I say, 2? This is the same thing as console.log A of 1 and of 2.
But what in the case if we put comma between these two, 1 and 2?
Syntax error. That makes no sense. You can't. Do you guys see how they're exactly the same? If you just replace this with the array, you're taking 2 of that array. So this, what I wrote here, is exactly the same as this. You don't see it? Okay, raise your hand if this isn't clear to you. All of you know it? We can do a quiz? No, but seriously. No, because a lot of people go, wait, what? Really? You get this? Uh-huh. I notice signs that people don't get it. I'm listening. Just how? Okay, look. Okay, do you understand? Listen. Do you understand, what does this part that I've highlighted, is it clear what I'm highlighting? This part here, just this part, what does that do? I'll second. It takes whatever is at index 1, right? What is at index 1? This is index 0, this whole thing. This is index 1, is index 2. So all of this whole array gets replaced. Just replace it in your head with this. In other words, take this whole thing, take this whole thing and replace this with that. Hang on. Is that part clear? People in the back, yes? Et pasa? Okay. Now take the 2 index of this. This is index 1, this is index 0, 1, 2. So all of this gets replaced by 919. Yeah? You sure? Are there any questions? Be honest with me. Trust me, you want to be honest with me. Yes?
Something related to this. When we say the length of constant A, is it 3?
It's the last index plus 1. So in A, how many, what's the last index? No. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, right? Add 1. Like this. Pause. Cool. Other questions? Alright, fine, no questions. Let's keep going. So now we're going to make it even more complicated, since you guys got this, no problem. We're going to do another array. That array will have an array inside. Yeah, you know where this is going. And then that array will have another array inside. This is known as a multi-dimensional array. Fancy, right? Alright. And then we're going to have another array. Remember, nothing about this is complicated. It's just a bunch of small, basic things combined together. We know what an array is. Don't be scared.
Yeah, numbers.
Yes, I will go. Okay. So now let's have this be like, 4, blah, and blah. And have this be 0. This can be Joe, Jack, and Joe. Okay. This can be boom, boom, and boom. That can be bomb, beam, and doom. Okay. Is anyone confused? Yes.
Wait, so this is one already? So this is A?
So A is just, good question. Okay, listen. A is just this array, starting here and ending here. The values within the array are this and this. So this is index 0, and then this is index 1. Okay? Now, this is itself a value which has index 0, index 1, index 2. This itself also has values inside of it, index 0, index 1, index 2. It's a list of lists. It's not that hard. Think about it. You know what a list is? You can imagine a list of lists. Now imagine a list of lists where each of those lists has lists. Remember, simple things combined together. That's all we're doing. Yes? Okay, so if I were to say A, index of 1, index of 2, index of 0.
Joe.
Okay, a bunch of you got it, which is great. So for the rest of you, here's the explanation. By the way, one quick thing, when in quizzes, if I show you something like this and I say explain, like don't just say, say 77, but then explain why, right? You'll notice in the examples, in the Facebook examples that I post, when I say explain, some people like line by line, they say, here's what happens, here's what. This is what I mean by explanation, okay? So really get into the details. So look, here's what happens. What does A1 return? The second value in the array. So this array has this as the first, this as the second, right? So this is index 0, this is index 1, right? Is there any confusion about that? Okay, so this whole array will be returned by this part. Okay. Then of this array, we take whatever is at index 2. This is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. So this part here will end up returning this entire array. Right? So then, take 0 of that. 0, 1, 2. 0 is 77. So all of this gets replaced with 77. Raise your hands if this is not clear, please. Yes?
Not to have one number, but successively write several numbers. We should have commas there.
To write, because I haven't written anything, I've just returned something. So I can do, you mean write like this? Now it will write 77. Yeah? If you want to write another one, like let's say I want to write 44. What I can do is do a plus, comma, space, and then change this to 1. And now I will have this. Instead of a comma, I can say dash. And I will have this. Etc., etc. Yes? Remember, basic concepts combined together. All we're doing. Other questions or concerns? Yes? Hanman minus այսինքն իհարկե եկեք սենց անենք մինուս ինչ կտա Perfect, good, you're getting it. Other questions or concerns about that? No, nothing? Yes?
Can we get a negative here?
Of course. Let's do the opposite. Let's do this minus this.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to undefined stretch.
Չէ։ Մինուսները կարելի է։ Բան է կարելի է, ոչ ամբողջ։ Get yes, yes. Okay, so let's do this. Before we print things, let me modify the array. We can do that. We can do A of 0 of 2 of 0 should be Bill.
John pop-up Bill.
What did I change? Okay, so, oh shoot, can you not read this? Look, by the way, is that shared? Is that okay? Okay, look. A of 0 will give me the first value in this first array. What is the first value in this array?
That whole
This guy, right? This array here. Not, this is the second one, this is the first one. Yes? Okay, so I got A0, that's this. I take 2 of this. That's 0, that's 1, that's 2. So this entire array is returned by this one. Then 0, so the first value in there, and I change it to Bill. So Joe just became Bill. Make sense?
What if we do cancel up? We will get false, right?
Why would you get false?
Because John is not equal to you.
Not equal.
It's an assignment operator, right? Remember, guys, when your parents said your name will be Joe or whatever, they didn't say, is your name equal to Joe? No, you were born, they said you are now Joe, right? That's an assignment. Triple equals is a question. Is it equal to Bill? Yeah? So here, you're right, I can now do this. Oh, here's a fun one. let's get rid of this, and let me ask you this question. If a of 0, of 1, sorry, of 1, of 1 equal to, ooh,
False.
will this, and then etc. True or false?
False.
Got this one, no, okay. Okay, let me, it's true, I could have given you an argument. Okay, let me do that.
False.
False? Anyone else? Other ideas? Okay, first, in order to know this, we have to know what value this is. So a of 0 is the first array, right? One index returns this one. The one, well, 0, 1, so that's 59. Is 59 equal to 888? No, but if we do 59 here, we can now do bada boom, console.log, yay, and we will see, yay. All right, getting it. Raise your hands if this is just, really? Love you guys. I'll give you a quiz next class, just to find out. No, but seriously, is it clear? Any questions up until this point? Okay, this is good. See how much time we have. Should I move on to the next topic? Yes, I will. Yes, we can. Okay, so, listen. Up until this point, we talked about the following values. We talked about strings, and we can make the strings in 3 ways, right? Either, or, right? We talked about numbers, no problem. You just write a number. We talked about Boolean values, right? True or false. We talked about comparison operators, and the result of a comparison operator is a Boolean value, right? If the comparison fits, it's a true. If not, it's a false. We talked about if conditions, if, else, and else, right? These are sort of these blocks where you can create conditions. So if this is true, then execute this code, right? That sort of thing. That part is clear. Then we said, okay, well, we have this notion of this information. What if you wanted a list of information? That's where arrays came in, right? Arrays are just lists of values. Fine. So the last thing I want to talk to you about, the last value, is called an object. So an object is basically like a grouping of information. It's not a list, it's just a grouping of stuff. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So the way to create an object is to use these curly brackets like that. I've just made an object. So let's give it a name. There. Now in this, I can give key value pairs. In other words, a name and a value, a name and a value. So let's give a name, like name, and give a value. Let's make a string. How do I make a string? Exactly. So let's call it Joe. Let's have this be first name. Let's have another value called last name. And let's call that, I don't know, Jackson. Whatever. Right, sorry. Please don't be upset. Okay. Alright. Age is, whatever. Okay. Phone could be, something like bum bum bum, boom boom boom, and boom boom boom boom. Like på gata. Okay. Alright. Okay, you get it, right? Da da da, ba ba ba, ba ba ba, whatever. Who cares? Okay. So the idea is that the syntax, you notice, is actually very simple. You say the name, but you use a colon, not equals. And then the value, comma, and then the next thing. Value, name, colon, value, comma, the next thing. And you sort of keep listing these. And you end up with an object like this. Now, to get a value from an object, you just do a dot the name. So if I wanted Joe, what would I do? There you go. So let me console.log this. Boom, Joe. How do I print the concatenation of first name and last name?
Plus.
So here I can do a plus, add a space, then plus, then a dot last name. Boom. Cool. So we know we can get a value by doing a dot the name. Yes? Guess how we can change a value? Just guess. How do I change the name from Joe to Mike? A dot first name is Mike.
Որովհետև են չակերտներից դուսը։
Aha, is check name. Is object is keys, no? Is object is
Հա, object-ից դուս մենք
object
կարող
ստեղծեցի, հետո object փոխեցի։
But there is a typo.
Sorry?
There is a typo. The letter T. So
Oh,
we got
sorry,
Joe.
first name. There we go. So, that's why it printed Joe. Sorry. That was, yes, cool. By the way, incidentally, you noticed there was no error, right? That should give you a hint. How do I add new names, new attributes? I can just do this. I can say the, I don't know, address. And the address is, you know, whatever, Goldenmead-Das Street, let's say. And now if I print it, a.address, it'll give me 83 Goldenmead-Das Street. Cool? Okay, so we can create an object. We can modify values from an object. We can read values from an object. There's one operation that's missing. Delete. You can create, you can modify, you can read. There's one more thing, right? Delete. In fact, try to remember CRUD. CRUD. Create, read, update, delete. Okay? That acronym comes up all the time in software engineering. Create, read, update, delete. So to delete something, you ready? Got it? I deleted it. I removed it from the object. Delete, and then the thing you want. If you want to change it, it's the thing, assignment, the value. If you want to read, it's just a dot whatever. Sorry, sorry, yes.
How it recognizes the objects if it is outside of the class?
Of the object. Okay, so look, think of it this way. Okay, so think of it this way. An object is just a container, right? At first, you put a bunch of stuff into the container, yes? So, the chair is my container, and I put into it my phone. Okay, so now I have a chair with a phone inside. If I want the phone, I say, phone, and it gives me the phone. Right? Okay. If I want to change it, I can say, the phone should be there. Now if I say phone, it's going to give me this. Right? Direct message I must. Okay, good. Alright. When I create the chair, I say the name phone is assigned to this. If I ever say give me a phone, it will give me this. Right? I can change that after. I can later say, hey chair, the phone will now refer to this. That's the assignment. If I later come and say phone, it will give me the last thing that I said is phone, which is this. Et parsa. So I can change what phone is, just like I can change what first name is. Nej. Gidelim, hasta gidelim, hasta duruşu. Now, in addition to me changing what phone is, I can now, after the chair exists, say laser pointer. And then later say laser pointer, and it gives me back this. Okay, so what that means is later, after, look, phone is ABC. If I say, give me the phone, it will give me ABC, yes? If I say the phone is now the remote control, sorry, okay. If I say a.phone equals remote control, after that, if I say a.phone, it will give me remote control. Okay. If I say a.laser is whatever, later I can do a.laser, and it will give me exactly. Okay, nein. Okay. No, step 2 are 10. Nein, ik kan step filler is toch, Gidem, yes. Okay, nein. Okay, look. Okay, here the object is getting created. Yes? No, I understand your confusion. Look. The object gets created here, and I, at the beginning, give it a bunch of name-value pairs, right? The name, the value, the name, the value, the name, the value. I can add additional name-value pairs after I've created A. That's the idea. So here I've added laser to this. Esa step to make laser. It was the chica, just as the chica. I is still a step to mother. U abelat to mother, that's what I can make. That is heto atenka. So it has to have if this does not exist, what will this return? I go to the chair. The chair is empty, right? I say, give me a laser. Yeah? And again, even if you add something, you can then delete it. Delete a.laser. And now it will be undefined again. So I've created it, and then I deleted it. And now I get nothing.
And what if we explicitly say a.laser equals to undefined? Wouldn't they have the same effect?
I think it would, yes. You would have the same.
Is there a conceptual difference between using
I think it's the same. I think it's the same.
And there was a question that if we had two fonts, what it would be. So I tried to get the last one. But why is that? Like why?
That's actually, it's an error. If you have the certain flags on JavaScript, it will actually give you an error. It won't even let you run it because it's a logical mistake. Because it's an unordered list. If you don't have the flag set, it will just do its best and guess. And the guess is
the last one or the first one.
It's just how you're. Are you using Chrome?
Yes.
JavaScript engine, no, that's not what but it's yeah, there's no rule. Yes. It will try to stringify the object, but it will give something stupid like object. It's trying to stringify the object, but it can't, so it does that crap. The reason for that is a bit more complicated, but that's what you get. Yes? Yeah. Huh? Okay, so what you can do is, I don't want to tell you, it's too complicated. I'll tell you later. Okay, so here's one cool tool I want you guys to learn, which will answer your question, by the way. So here's the tool. It's called a debugger. Here's what you do. You write the word debugger. Then you go to DevTools. So you go here, you go to More Tools, and you open up your DevTools. Then you run your application. Okay, because it's running from... Okay, I'll show it to you later. Never mind, I will show it to you later. Sorry. Okay, so forget what I said for a moment. So you have this A, and it has this information in it, and you can read from it. Et kanum hartzka. Farza. Okay, now let me give you something more practical. When you go to Facebook, you see your list of friends, right? Where does that list of friends come from? Well, there's actually a request made to the Facebook server that says, give me all the friends for whoever's logged in, and it returns some information, some data, right? That information contains a list of people. Let me say that again. A list, an array, of people. Well, what is a person? Is a person a string? No, a person is a lot of things, right? They have their first name, their last name, their image, right? Like the URL for their picture, their icon, maybe other things, right? It has all this additional information about each person. So maybe it makes sense to have each person be like a grouping of that stuff, an object, and put that into a list or an array. So, again, let's combine these basic things that we learned together to make more sense of this. So, const friends is an array. In this array, we have a bunch of objects. This first object, who's my first friend? Let's see. We're going to have first name. Actually, let me keep it simple. Let me just say, yeah, first. Name is Joe. Last name is Bogosian. I have another friend.
Mike Bogosian.
What else, Mike? Oh, but it's a Bogosian with an I, because, you know, how many guys? And then, first name, Joe, Mike, and Jill. And last name is Bogo. I think I'm butchered this. Okay. Is there anything about what I wrote that wasn't clear to you? İnç? Zut për ta besu ne? Për ta besu latik ne? Ah, yeah, okay. Okay, so what I have here is a list. At index 0, I have an object, which contains in it first name and last name. At index 1, I have this object containing this information. And at index 2, I have this information. Yes? Okay, now, what happens if I do this? Hang on, so what happens if I do this? Friends, 1 dot first name. Friends 1. What is friends 1? This is 0. This is 1. So it's this. This whole thing is friends 1. So I get this object, and from that I get first name. So I get Mike. Okay, you ready? So these friends have, what's a list of things you might have? A list of friends? No. Each person has one age. A list like each susak ne like professor. Okay, let me be super original and call it friends. And then this person is friends with first name. Armenia. Not everybody shall ask him. Science? Okay. Until that? Ոչ ստորակետը։ Եթե էլի կա, հա, բայց այսինքն եթե էլի ավելացնեի ստեղ, ես իմ ինչ հա, բայց եթե չէ, չէ։ Ինքը վերջինն է։ Okay. Հետո this person only has one friend. So Joe ընդամենը մի ընկեր ունի։ Okay, friends. Mike-ն էլ ունի ընկեր։ First name Lilith. Last name Karapetyan. Okay, as you can imagine, this data this information can get more and more complicated and larger, right? Let me zoom in a bit more. So far we have all of this. Can people in the back read this? You can? Okay, I'll zoom in a moment, but I just want to show you. Okay, so if this is the case, ready? What happens if I do... Remember, solve it one piece at a time. Okay, so we do, sorry, for those of you who, let me zoom in a little bit. Sorry about this. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do. Friends 1, friends 0, last name. Okay, հայրը ասեմ։ Երկրորդ ընկերոջ, առաջին ընկերոջ ազգանունը։ Okay, let's break this down. Friends 1. That's the second friend, right? Because we start with index 0. Who's the second friend? What's the first name of the second friend? Mike. In other words, it's this object here, right? Okay. Then we do dot friends, so we get this array. And then from that array, we take 0, so we take it's only 1, right? We take this one, this object. And then from this object, we do dot last name, and we get Karapetyan. Raise your hand if it's not clear. Don't be embarrassed. Better that you tell me now than in the quiz. It's not clear. Oh, you have a question. I'm sorry.
So, why do we put 0? Why do we need 0 if we go to minus friends?
Dot friends in each other. What does dot friends return? Look at friends. Friends is such, right? It's an array, right? So friends returns an array, right? You need to get a value from the array. This object is array մեջ հաճանա։ Ճոգեր։ Ինքը առաջին էլի կարող է ունենալ։ Կարող է այս մարդը 20 հատ ընկեր ունենալ։ Դու պիտի ասես որ ընկերը այդ ինդեքսն է։ Ասում ես առաջին ընկերը։ Եթե ասեի 10, կներ 11-րդ ընկերը։ Ճիշտ է, չէ՞։ Հետո իրա հասկանում, հաջան։ Array մեջի առաջին արժեքը։ Yes. First name instead of last name?
Like for friends 0?
Ah, and then first name, you would get Lilith, exactly. Ah, third times. Yes? You can, but it requires a function, which we haven't talked about functions. I will soon, very soon. Okay, John? Dimasi. Ask. True. Այդ օբյեկտը չի լինի հավասար։ Օբյեկտի այն կոնկրետ նայ։ Հացի պատասխանը նայ։ So here's his question, which is a very good question actually. knows Joe Papazyan. Is this true? So we want friend 0 dot first name triple equals friends 0 dot friends 0 dot first name. Is this true? Is anyone saying false?
Can you repeat this part, last part?
Yeah, is this true? Sorry, zoom in on it. Okay, guys, Alisan something. It's Masakana. You open? What's on it? Yeah, this you're going down with this thing, I just want the text down. Yeah? Okay. My question is this true? What does this get replaced by? What does this get replaced by? It's incha. Incha? Why? What? Չէ, մի րոպե, մոռացի ենք երեկ, մի հատ այստեղն է։ Joe հավասար, text John հավասար է, text Joe-ի։ Բայ ինչ տարբերություն բարեկամն է։ Անուն ենք քիչ համատում, ջան, ոչ թե անձ։ Ես քեզ չեմ հավատում իմ հետ, ես հավատում քո անունն է իմ հետ։ Մենք կարող է երկուսն Ռուբենն է, կարող է չէ, բայց մեկը որպես անձ տարբեր է։ Պատկերացրեցի՞ չէ։ Նայ, այն ինչ որ դու ես ասում, սա է։ Եթե ես հենց իրան համեմատեմ հենց իրա հետ, այսպես, այդ արդեն անձը անձի հետ է համեմատում, օբյեկտը օբյեկտի հետ, ճիշտ է, երկու տարբեր օբյեկտներ, բնականաբար։ Բայց եթե միայն իրանց անուններն են համեմատում, եթե նույն անունն է, նույն անունն է։ Պարզեր։ Ասել։ You can, but it's only true if the objects are literally the same object. No, then, because they're two different objects. In other words, if you do this, look. Ես եթե ունի age 10, ու ես մի հատ ուրիշ ունենք, որը ունի age 10, ես երկուսը հավասար չեն իրար, A is not equal to B, երկու տարբեր օբյեկտներ են, ճիշտ է, որ A.H հավասար է B.H-ին, այդ ճիշտ է, 10-10-ի հավասար է, 100%, բայց օբյեկտները իրար հավասար չեն, որտեղ նույն օբյեկտը չի։ Ուրիշ բան, եթե մենք ապագայում երբ որ ֆունկցիաներ գրենք, կարող ենք ֆունկցիա գրենք, որին կտակ երկու օբյեկտ ու կհամեմատի իր ներքին կոնտենտը, ինֆորմացիան։ Ու կասի, եթե ներքին ինֆորմացիան նույնն է, թե չէ։ Բայց այդ ուրիշ աշխարհ է։ Իսկ այս բանին մենք համեմատում ենք հենց օբյեկտը օբյեկտի հետ, պարզա երկու օբյեկտը, նայեք, պատկերացրեք ունենք երկու անձ, երկու մարդ։ Իրանք նույնը չեն, բայց իրանց անունները կարող են նույն լինեն, իրանց տարիքը կարող է նույնը լինի, բայց իրանք տարբեր են։ Awesome. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why I'm speaking Armenian. Other questions or concerns about this stuff? Okay. Okay, a few more examples and then we're done. Ooh, one question. Question? Yeah, why not? Okay, let's do this. Const Boo is equal to an array of ghosts. So we have an object, message. Oh, you know what? We have a to-do list. Action. Go to store. I have another one. Action. where you get to create a to-do list. And then the first list item is always create to-do list. And then you say done. Okay, so if I do console.log to do 1 dot done. False. Good. Now suppose someone swipes on their phone, I did my homework, right? What would I do in code to change the information?
To do one done equals to done.
Everything was right except the last word you said.
True.
True. Because there is no value called done, right? Good. So now, look, someone went like, imagine this was drawn on the screen. So you can imagine this information, right, which is stored somewhere, read and drawn on the screen in these cute boxes. And there's like a slider, right? Like done, not done, not done, not done. And initially, all of them are not done. But then the user goes, and when they do that, what you do is you modify the data like this. So now the data reflects what is on the screen. You can then save that data, and when they open the application again, read the data back and draw it on the screen. And you will see go to store is not done, but do homework is done. Capish? How's that? So. Okay. So what happened? Console.log to do. Oh, how do I add a to-do item to my list? I want to add a to-do item to my list. Sense? Tell me, what do I do? Yes? Polimečka inch. Which is, give me an action, it doesn't matter.
Sleep.
Sleep. Have we done this yet? Some of you have, but not me. Okay, there you go. You just added a to-do item to your to-do list. So now you have 4 items in your to-do. And okay, now let me mark that last thing that I added. Let me mark that as done. How do I do that? The last thing.
Length minus 1. Down.
Why minus 1? Because right now, other questions? Is this clear to everyone? Hajan. Easy. Look. What index is this? What index is this? What index is this?
Undefined.
No, the index. What index is it? 2. Okay, but you're right. There's nothing there. Okay. What is the length of this? 2. So if I took the index 2, where would I be? Here, here, or here? Minus 1. Pauza, ce? Verčin index, length minus mega. Isk length inča.